Easiest way to tell on these for me is when they start turning from a green to kind of a more yellowish skin. And then you can always look at the tendril closest to the feeding vine, and if it's dark, chances are it's ripe. But that don't always tell you. That lifeline don't always tell you, because sometimes they'll be brown and the melon still needs to grow, especially when it's a big one. So a lot of times you can look at this, they call that the spoon. That little leaf right there across from that tendril, that's what you call the spoon. And a lot of times when it dries up and this stem starts kind of turning dark, that baby's ready. But I've had plenty of these in the past. You think, well, that baby's 30, 40 pounds, just ready to pick. And you go on and pick it thinking it's ready, and it could have still used another day or two, or even a week or two. So be patient with your melons. Even though they're huge, sometimes don't mean that they're ready to pick. You can run your hand over them, and a lot of times a riper melon will have a little bit of a rough texture to it. And if it's still real smooth, sometimes it won't be ripe. But that lifeline, that tendril, will usually tell you when they're real close. But we got one over here, it's a little bit smaller, and it's almost ready to pick. You can kind of see that tendril right there. It's dark, it's dried up, and that little leaf right there, that spoon, it's dried up too. This melon's really close. You could probably pick it today and eat it and it'd be fine. And sometimes you can mash down on it, and if you kind of hear it crunching, it's probably ready, but I don't suggest doing that unless you really can't tell. It's still got a little bit of green color around the end of it, so that tells me it's a couple days away. A little steamy out here today. But yeah, we've been in there canning, making some salsa and some pickles. It's been pretty hot today. We finally got a little cloud cover, and I wanted to come out here and just check on my melons. That's probably my favorite thing to grow. I love the tomatoes and all, the peppers, Lord, they're good. But anytime you grow you a big old watermelon and cut it open and you got what you wanted, it's very rewarding, you know. It's because a lot goes into them. If you got a ton of rain and it just keeps coming a monsoon, you've got some big melons out there, and if they get over water, they're not going to be sweet. That's just the bottom line. You want your watermelon plants to get plenty of water up until them melons get about softball size, or a little, you know, once they start really growing, you want that water to not be as intense. And you can't control nature, so you just have to kind of roll with the punches. But we have had a awesome year so far for melons and stuff. We've had good rain, but these last couple weeks it's been hot and nasty, and that kind of sucks for people having to work in it, and you know your electric bill is going to be double. But when it comes to watermelons, they love that heat, and them that we grow are a variation of a Desert King. And I think they were originally grown, well, originally probably all the melons come from, you know, Africa and the Middle East. But these Desert Kings, I think they are notorious for being grown out in Arkansas, where it's really hot and dry. But we have took those seeds and crossed them over with some Moon and Stars years ago, and came out with a pink flesh Desert King. And man, it's just been really good. They stand up in the heat. They stand up real good when it's dry weather. And we hadn't cut one yet this year, but they're looking real good. We about got them all up, and I was debating whether or not to pick this one or just let it keep growing, because I was wanting to get it up to about 50 pounds, and it's probably close to that. But with all this rain coming in, I'm afraid these things, if I keep pushing my luck, they're not going to be too sweet, because they're just getting saturated right now. They're calling for rain for 3 or 4 days. I could let this one go another probably 3 or 4 days, but I'd hate for it to be mushy after all this time, so we're gonna go ahead and pick this bad boy. That's how you do it right there.